Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're talking about something called MCP Elicitation. MCP stands for Modular Context Protocol, and it's all about creating a more polite conversation with AI. It's designed to finally get rid of that awkward digital silence when an AI needs something from you but just can't ask.
So let's start with a feeling we've all had, right? You're trying to get something done, you ask an AI for help, and it just freezes, it gets stuck. You can tell it needs just one more little piece of information to finish the job, but it has no way to ask for it. It's just that awkward, frustrating silence.
And this quote from the WorkOS blog really just hits the nail on the head. AI is amazing when it has context. But the biggest challenge has always been, how do you get that context on the fly, right in the middle of a task, without everything grinding to a halt?
Okay, so to really appreciate why this new approach is such a big deal, we got to look at the problem it's solving. Before elicitation, developers were stuck using some pretty clumsy and honestly brittle ways to handle this whole awkward silence issue. It was kind of a mess. Developers had to build these custom, one-off solutions for every little thing. Or they try to guess every possible bit of information the AI might need and cram it all into one giant, bloated initial prompt. These were just clunky workarounds that were inefficient and just didn't scale at all.
So yeah, those old methods were not great. But thankfully, there is a much more elegant way to handle this. It's about turning that awkward pause into a polite conversation. And this is where elicitation really comes in and changes the whole game.
So what is elicitation, really? At its heart, it's a standard, agreed-upon language that lets an AI, the server, politely pause and ask the app, the client, for whatever it's missing. So instead of just failing, it can start a simple, clean request. It turns a dead end into a smooth, interactive conversation.
So how does this polite conversation actually work behind the scenes? Well, what's really cool about it is how simple and logical the whole process is. Let's break it down.
It's really just a simple four-step handshake. First, the AI server realizes, hey, I'm missing something, and it sends out a little request. Second, your app sees that request and shows it to you in a nice, clean interface. Third, you, the user, get to make a choice. And fourth, the app sends your decision back to the AI. That's it. Now the AI can get back to work.
So, for example, let's say an AI needs your GitHub username. It sends a request with a simple human-friendly message like, please provide your GitHub username. And under the hood, it also tells the app, hey, I'm just expecting a simple piece of text here.
But here's where it gets really powerful. It can ask for more complex stuff too. The server can request a whole bundle of information at once, like your contact info. And it can be super specific, saying it needs a name, an email that's in a valid format, and even an age that has to be a number. This is huge for getting the right data without a ton of frustrating back and forth.
And this brings us to a really critical point. You, the user, are always in control. You're not forced into anything. You can accept and give the info. You can decline, which is a very clear no. Or you can just cancel, which is like closing a dialog box and saying, I'll deal with this later. That level of control is absolutely essential for building trust with these systems.
Okay, so this is all great for developers, but why should you care? What does this actually mean for the apps and tools you use every single day? Well, it turns out this unlocks a whole bunch of really cool new experiences.
First off, simple but life-saving confirmations. Instead of just going ahead and deleting something massive, an AI can now use elicitation to pop up a quick check, are you absolutely sure you want to do this? This simple step can prevent so many accidents.
Or what about when your request is a little vague? You say, cancel my subscription, but you have two of them. Instead of guessing, the AI can now just ask for clarification. Got it. Should I cancel the Pro plan or the Enterprise plan? No more guesswork.
This also makes for a way more natural, conversational experience. Think about a trip planning AI. Instead of hitting you with a giant form, it can ask for your destination. Then, once you answer, it can ask for your dates. Then your budget. It gathers info progressively, just like a real person would.
And finally, this lets AIs provide really smart contextual help. If a support bot needs to know what operating system you're on to help you, it can just ask. No more scrolling through pages of instructions for Windows when you're on a Mac. It gets you the right answer faster.
Now, you might be thinking, giving an AI the power to ask me for information, that sounds like it could be risky. And you're right to think that, which is why the protocol was designed from the ground up with some very, very important safeguards built right in.
And let's be absolutely crystal clear on the #1 rule, straight from the official spec. Elicitation must not be used for sensitive information. We're talking no passwords, no personal ID numbers, no secret keys. That kind of data needs its own, much more secure, dedicated channels, period.
This table lays out the other key rules of the road. Your app should always let you say no or just cancel the request. It should always tell you exactly which AI is asking for the info. And it should have things like rate limiting to prevent a buggy or even malicious AI from just spamming you with requests. It's all about keeping you safe and in control.
So, when you put all of this together, the polite conversation, the real-world uses, the built-in safeguards, you can start to see the big picture. This is about more than just one cool feature. It's about a fundamental shift in how we're going to interact with AI.
Really, MCP elicitation is a foundational piece for a future where our AI tools are way more modular, more interactive, and can adapt to situations in real time. We're moving away from rigid, pre-programmed systems and toward AI that can actually negotiate for the context it needs to be truly helpful.
And so that leaves us with this final thought. What does our digital world start to look like when every app, every tool, every assistant can just have a polite, simple conversation with us to get the job done? We are moving from a world of rigid commands to one of dynamic conversations with our technology, and we're just on the verge of finding out what that feels like. Thanks for joining this explainer.